When planning the road to success, there are a few steps to keep in mind. Identifying and solving the cause, facing and embracing change, goal setting, and being accountable. We'll talk about this today on Sustainable Success with Chris Salem. New and healthier habits lead to prosperity in all areas of your life and business. Now, here's your host, Chris Salem.
Welcome to Sustainable Success. My name is Chris Salem, your host. Welcome if this is your first time here. We are now new here on Libsyn. Yes, a new platform that Voice America under now the business channel is on. And again, we want to welcome you. And if you've been with us for a while, again, welcome to our new platform. And again, we encourage you to also follow us on Spotify, Apple, and then also our Facebook page at Sustainable Success 2017. Again, we've had many of our great guests over the years sharing their words of wisdom and insights to help take your business and level influence to the next level. We are so excited again that you're here with us. And our show today is being brought to you today by Alumni Direct. Alumni Direct is a new social media community platform dedicated to bringing alumni together from all different generational types and an opportunity to meet new people for the first time. Now, what's nice about Alumni Direct? It is a membership program, but it takes all the noise out of social media. No more of those noisy notifications and unsolicited messages. You get to come in and generate genuine and authentic relationships with the people you choose to interact with in terms of content. Again, it offers a wide array of different services as a member, both on a professional and personal level. If you'd like some more information about Alumni Direct, check them out at alumnidirect.com. That's alumnidirect.com. Well, we got a wonderful show for you today. And, I could say for myself, I'm going to be 58 years old in July. And, I can say in the last 20 years, I've been pursuing what is my passion. And I live it, breathe it each and every day. Getting up each day is not like, oh, I got to go to work. I got to do this. It's like it's part of who I am. I love what I do. And hopefully that other people out there listening can do the same. And we have someone that's going to share her story today. And she is still going strong after doing it for so many years. Today's show is called Follow Your Passion, regardless of how long it takes. Now, you heard that. I don't care if you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, even 80s. It does not matter. You got the time. You can pursue what you love to do. We're going to be here listening to Joyce Piran. She's a former hospital CEO who at 58 put her treasures in storage for 23 years and then traveled the world as a solo woman traveler exploring 187 countries and territories. She wrote a book called Ants in My Pants, One Woman's Unexpected Adventures Across 7 Continents, and it looks forward to sharing her experiences with you. When Joyce was 58-year-old divorced woman with the lure of adventure, she unleashed her undying curiosity as she had crisscrossed over the world for 23 years, and as I mentioned, and visited all these countries, and working for the World Health Organization and touching lives in healthcare settings across the Middle East, Africa, and South America. She's going to share with you her story. She's going to share what it takes to really ignite your passion and keep the fire lit, or the ants in your pants, so to speak, to keep you moving forward. And without further ado, we welcome Joyce Piran to the show. Joyce, how you doing today?
Fine, thank you. And thank you for that lovely introduction. It is really exciting to be here. And I do want to connect with your audience and tell them it's never too late. And, ants in my pants was true. I kept going. It's a funny saying, but I did truly have ants in my pants. So the title of my book came from actual experiences.
Well, let's hear it, Joyce. We want to hear that story because, again, I know there was probably even a story behind the story even before you were 58, but share with us this transition into this passion that you live and breathe each and every day.
Well, it really started, it started when I was a Girl Guide. And in that time, I was very fortunate to be able to go to an international camp where I met Lady Baden-Powell, who was the founder of the Girl Guide movement. Now, that made a huge impression on me. And it was so happened that when I was there, I met her many times. So we became a little friendship. And then when 2 years after the camp, she happened to come to Edmonton, where I was living. That's Edmonton, Alberta. And so we met again, and she signed my photographs. But at that time and during the camp, I looked up to her. How can she start this international movement that gives girls the opportunity to learn about management of my little team? It was called the Shamrocks. Learning how to work with people, learning those skills that eventually, brought me to being a CEO in the healthcare system, and one of the first, because, I was born in 1936. I'm 88 now. In 36, I lived through the war. We had coupons. We had to have coupons to get sugar and butter. Things were not easy. My mother had one Christmas paper that she wrapped the presents in, and we had to share that. She would iron it between giving me the Christmas present. So things have changed. Life is different. And there were many things I learned with the Girl Guides that I used throughout my life. And then when my children were married, I have 3 children. They graduated from university. And when they were married, I was divorced. I was an empty nester. What was I going to do with my life at 57? And, we all know, and I'm reaching out to those people who are 57 now. You're going to live to your 90s. So let's prepare about what you're going to do. There are many things. You have to stay physically fit. I could not have climbed Mount Kilimanjaro at 64 if I hadn't been physically fit. You have to think about your ability to communicate. Yes, communication, and I mean voice to voice, not texting, because that's the way you build relationships. And so all these things are so important. So my passion was to live and work in a foreign country, because when I was in Sweden, I met people from all over the world. Well, they didn't go to school like I did. They showed me pictures. They didn't wear shoes. They went around bare feet. They had their kitchen out in the back. It wasn't in the house. I was curious, so how was I going to do that? Well, let me tell you, it wasn't an easy decision to make. I was very comfortable. I had everything I needed, but I wanted to give back. And I thought, how can I do that? I have healthcare expertise. And so I decided to take a job in Saudi Arabia. And there I had to look at many different things. And I want to talk about 6 things in Saudi Arabia. Change. Oh my goodness. Strategy. What was my strategy being there? How was I in a position of leadership going to change the strategy of this hospital to be better?
Yeah.
How was my leadership? Well, I was a foreigner in somebody else's country. I was a guest. What kind of relationships could I build? And how was my communication? Well, I had to learn Arabic. I wasn't really good at it. but I could manage. And what was the most important thing for me? Adaptability. I had to adapt to these different segments. So let's just talk for a minute how I managed living in Saudi Arabia. Change from one culture to another was difficult. Methods were different, clothes were different, standards were different. Everything like that happened. Adaptability. How was I going to adapt to wearing a abaya and covering my hair? How was I going to adapt from the religious police who were out there? And if I didn't have a scarf over my hair, tap, 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 I knew they were around. I had to change my actions. And what was the strategy? How was I going to make a positive impact? Have I accepted and taught others to embrace change? How were they going to shift their customs, their methods of work to improve it, to make it better? It took communication. And what kind of leadership did that take? You know, a new culture, foreign country, and it was communication, was embracing positive feelings generated by my team throughout the hospital. You know, after I left Saudi Arabia, the WHO recruited me. I didn't apply. They recruited me.
They came for you. That's wonderful.
They came for me and said, "We'd like you to come and work for us full time." I said, "Oh, no, I couldn't do that, but I'd be glad to be a consultant and work part time." Why couldn't I work full time? Because my mission was to visit as many countries and learn about people in the different parts of the world.
That was your passion. You didn't allow something to interrupt your passion.
That's exactly right. It was my passion. And it's easy to have somebody pull you off your road. You have to be determined to follow your passion. So that's what I did. Then the United Nations Development Program in the UN, they recruited me. And I said, okay, I could do that. I was giving back. And that's what I really wanted to do. And then I had to retire from that too and say, no, by this time I was getting pretty old. And I decided if I'm going to climb Kilimanjaro at 64, I better get busy and do it. And so I did. And that was a challenge. By goodness, I can tell you all that story. But let me tell you about the ants in my pants. I was in Zimbabwe, and I was waiting to go and visit a family and live with them. The bus didn't come, the bus didn't come, the bus didn't come. And I was getting tired of standing up, so I put my little scarf on the floor, on the grass, and sat down. And people looked at me. I should have really paid more attention. And then all of a sudden, I did the Highland Fling. I did the jive. I did whatever I could do. And I realized I had things crawling up my pants. I had slacks on. Okay, how am I going to get those ants out of my pants? It was, and everybody there was laughing. The men were laughing. They were on the ground. They were killing themselves. And finally, one of the ladies said, "Oh, Joyce, come over here." And so they have these big skirts, and they opened them up and made a little circle around me, and I could drop my pants and get the ants out. And the men just turned the other way. They were very polite. And so, you know, it was the local people that showed me that you have to pay attention to what you're doing there. It was funny, and I laugh at it now. But at the time, it wasn't so funny, let me tell you. And then moving on. Well, let me tell you about climbing Kilimanjaro. That was a challenge. I was 64, and we had a group of about 8, and we were walking along, and I did really well. I got to the midpoint, which is Gilman's Point, and I was happy. We were there. We had hiked all night, and the sky was full of diamonds, just like on black velvet. The stars were so bright. And then the cloud came, so we used our headlamps, and off we went. And we got to the top, and the sunrise was gorgeous with rays that just were golden, bright, and I felt so good. I got up and started to run and jump. Let me tell you, don't ever do that if you're climbing Kilimanjaro. That was the wrong thing to do because I used up all my reserve oxygen. Well, then I was dragging. It was one foot against the other. And I'm sure you know that little story about the little train going up the mountain. I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. Well, that was my motto. I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. I got to the top, and it was wonderful. I was there. I reached the summit and then returned with the others back to our camp. But there was a sad point about this event.
Yeah. Okay. And Joyce, what I want to do is, would it be okay? We're coming near the first break for our commercial. I'd love you to share about that. Like, what was that? Like, something now, what came up, and we want the audience to come back and now hear what that is.
Perfect. Okay.
Awesome. So everybody, this is a great story. I mean, as you could hear, Joyce is a storyteller, and you could see how her story, as you listen and read, kind of how it resonates with you. How does that align with where you are? What's your story? And how can you ignite the passion within you? And this is what she's doing to share with you to do that. And we got more to come, everybody, when we come right back. Again, if you're just joining us, we're talking about following your passion, regardless of how long it takes, here with Joyce Perrin. And again, you're going to learn more about how you can contact her later, including her book, where you can also get that on Amazon. And we'll be right back after the break.
What is balance? It's being true to your purpose and not being distracted by shiny objects, surrounding yourself with family and loved ones, nurturing your spirituality, maintaining healthy balance of emotional and physical wellness, and being present in the moment. Chris Salem creates awareness about unblocking mindset barriers for sales professionals, business leaders, entrepreneurs, and all types of people to have sustainable success at the next level. The solution evolves out of the problem or challenge. The issue is that many people and businesses manage the effect but do not address the root cause. You now have an opportunity to live your life and operate your business in the solution rather than the effect of your challenges. Schedule a time to chat about your goals and the person you desire to be by going to ChristopherSalem.com. We have group consulting calls, one-on-one, and other programs to assist you. It will be the best thing you do for yourself to see how sustainable success is possible for you in your life and business. Join us at the next level. Visit ChristopherSalem.com. Voice America is on LinkedIn. Connect with us today. You are listening to Sustainable Success with Chris Salem. Send an email to Chris at ChristopherSalem.com. Now, back to Sustainable Success.
Welcome back to Sustainable Success. If you're just joining us, we've been talking about follow your passion regardless of how long it takes with Joyce Perrin. She has such a powerful story and how she changed her life after being an empty nester at the age of 57 and how she changed her life over a 30-year period and continues to pursue and sustain her passion. So if you're just joining us, we highly encourage you to go back and listen to the first segment of our show where she talks about her story. And it's just really, at a heart level really connects. And I know it will connect with you. And again, check that out here in its entirety here later today at the Libsyn platform under Sustainable Success. Joyce, I know what you before the break, you kind of, were finishing up a story on your climb, and then there was something that came up, and I know we wanted to keep everybody in suspense, as we came back. Can elaborate and continue what that is to continue your story that you've been enlightening us with?
Yes, I'd be glad to. It was really a sad situation. And I just want to impress upon everybody before I tell you what happened that communication is a two-way street. And remember, it's not what they hear, it's how you feel. Mm-hmm. Your words, how do they make you feel? Well, this situation, I climbed Kilimanjaro, got to the top, I was successful. But what do I remember from my climb? Not that achievement, but what I'm about to tell you. What I'm about to tell you is that some of the people on this climb decided not to pay the porters, even though they had signed the sheet and had agreed to do that. But they decided that they weren't going to pay them. And it's the faces on those porters. I remember the sad faces when only 3 of the 8 paid their money. And those porters had worked hard. They had carried our clothes. They had carried our food. They had carried everything for us. And they were treated that way. I asked our guide, does this happen often? He said, I can tell after the second day how much money the porters are going to receive. It was so sad. I could not believe people not following their word and following their commitment. But that's what happens in life sometimes. And so it is a lesson to us all to follow your word and be sure that if you commit to something, you follow through. But let me tell you another story.
And that's a great point, by the way. I want to reiterate the importance, as they've heard this on the show many times, Joyce, no matter what it is, you gotta, it's like the old gentleman's shake, back in the day. You follow through on what you said and commit to. And there's a lot of lack of accountability in our world today. And that is so important, that a trait that the older generation did so well.
Yes, I agree with you. And I instill that in my family, that if you say something, then you're committed. You can't just not do it. It was so sad. But here's a successful story. I was scuba diving. I love scuba dive. And so I took my advanced scuba diving course. And where did I go? I loved wrecks. So we went down. We were in Saudi Arabia in the Red Sea. Everything was clear. We had just been to a dive and had gone around this wreck and just enjoyed it. And we're heading back. Everybody had less than half a tank of air. I had just under half a tank because I don't use much air, but other people do use a lot more air. And we were heading back. Then all of a sudden, tap, tap, tap on my tank. That means alert, alert, alert. You're in danger. Look out, look around, see what the problem is. And boy, in seconds, we were back to back in a big circle, the 8 of us, to make us look bigger. Because who was coming to us? A tiger shark.
Oh boy, and tiger sharks do attack.
Tiger sharks are second to the great whites to attack.
Yeah.
They unpredictable. You have no idea what they're going to do. And this one was big. He circled, he circled, he circled, and now I can see those big black eyes looking at me, and my heart was racing, checking the air. I still had lots of air. I could share my air. So so around he went, and finally he left. We went back to the boat. Fortunately, I could share my buddy breathing, which means I take a breath, they take a breath. I take a breath, they take a breath. And so we get back on the boat. After the last person was on the boat, somebody spotted this dorsal fin coming towards us. We just made it. But I'll tell you, it was a team event. Everybody worked together. And that's what I remember about that. We were all safe because everybody shared what they had.
Well, that's a great illustration of here you have a threat that could kill you, and how I'm sure everybody had a certain level of fear, but didn't react, in a way that would maybe cause the tiger shark to become agitated and attack. That you remained calm as a team, as an individuals and as a team, to get out of that very difficult situation.
And it's due to leadership. I must point this out. We had a team leader who was in charge. She knew exactly what to do. She pulled everybody together, and everybody listened. We all paid attention. And you're absolutely right that in times of stress like this, you need somebody strong to be able to pull people together and be the leader that you need in crisis situations.
Yeah.
And that's the same in business. It doesn't matter. This just shows how leadership is an important segment in the population. When you have a business, when you have a team, the leadership is critical.
Yeah.
Let me go on. I had a fun time. I was in Russia. Now, I took a train. I took the local train, of course, and I had a package that allowed me to stop at different stations, different cities for 2 or 3 days, and then I'd get on the train and go back. And it was fun. There were 4 people in the room, and sometimes there were men, sometimes there were women, but it didn't matter. We all worked together. We all protected our little room, and I'd give them money, and they would go buy the food. We'd all sit around. We'd always have a good time. And of course, the vodka flowed rather freely. But what I want to tell you is I was in Moscow, and I was in the subway station, and I got confused. I didn't know whether I should go this way or this way. So I said, does anybody speak English? And some of the young people came around because they wanted to practice their English, and they got me straightened out. And one person said to me, oh, there's going to be a hockey game tonight. Well, being a Canadian, of course, that's what I wanted to see. So there I went, got myself a ticket, found the seat, and I was sitting beside a very nice lady. And we were cheering for the Army team. And it was against the Air Force. But the Army was her team, so I was with her. And of course, she brought some food. She brought some vodka. We had a great time. But you see, that would never have happened. I would never have found that experience if I hadn't asked a question, if I hadn't been open to say, can somebody help me? And so one of the things I mentioned when you travel, as I traveled for so many years, was you had to ask questions. Remember, I traveled before the internet, and before cell phones. So it wasn't I could pick up my cell phone and say, translate this, please.
Yeah.
You had to do voice, you had to do sign language, you had to do all those things. But it was the bond that you made with people
Yeah.
that I really miss now. Because when I travel now, everybody's got a cell phone.
Yeah,
So
you could get
everybody
it
can
translated like that. Yeah.
It's like that.
And with the
You
AI
just,
technology.
that's right. And so we're missing this human connection. And I suspect if I was traveling now, it would not be that generous feeling that I made and I had when I met people from all walks of life, no matter where I was. And I want to mention, and I want people to remember this, you know, we've all got a legacy. I'm 88. So, what was my legacy? Well, my legacy was my book. And my grandchildren said, thank you for writing this because you told us stories, but now I have them for my children. And I think people have to think about what their legacy is going to be. Are you going to be happy with what you're leaving your family and the life that you have lived? Can you contribute to others? You know, a smile is a smile in any language, especially when you smile with your eyes. And that is the big key, because if you don't smile with your eyes, try it sometime. It
Yeah.
doesn't pass the same message. So there are many things that I learned along the way. And I just want to share some of them. You know, I learned what was important to me, and I loved talking to people. That was important to me, to make connections. It didn't matter if I was driving in Ethiopia or Eritrea and stopped and picked up a lady who was walking to a funeral who would not have made it if I hadn't stopped and picked her up. It wouldn't have mattered if I hadn't talked to somebody who was in, say, Uganda, where I found the gorillas. Let me tell you that story. We went looking for gorillas in Uganda, and it took us a day. We found them, and I was just about, maybe 10 feet away from this big silverback gorilla. He had a big silverback streak in his back. He was so big, his head was like a lawnmower, and his arms were as long, almost touching the ground. Over there, the mothers were with the babies in the creche and the children. They played just like my kids would. But it was a wonderful experience. And you know what was so wonderful? The money we paid on our trip went back to the people in the community so they did not kill the gorillas.
Wow,
And
that's
that
fabulous.
was so wonderful in that situation.
Wow, well, go ahead, Joey. We have a few minutes to the next break. I'd
Okay.
love to hear you finish that story.
Okay. So afterwards, I was walking home, and all of a sudden, my foot went through the bottom of the grasses. Well, the grasses are made by having branches on top, one top of another, and they slipped down. And I had a punctured a vein. It was bleeding profusely. We were in the middle of nowhere. Fortunately, behind me was an ER nurse. And being a nurse myself, I could have handled it, but he had a great kit, and so did our leader. He fixed it up, and we were able to get back. But I was just so excited about seeing that and knowing that I helped people I helped people buy food so they didn't kill the gorillas. so the next tourist could come and enjoy what I enjoyed.
Wow. That's
And, sorry, do you
go
want me
ahead.
to go on to another story?
Yeah. No, well, we have about a minute to the break, but yes, if you want to wrap that up, we can, and then we'll continue on the next when we come back after the break.
And it was the big thing that I remember there was how we all worked together. We were all in a line, and the guide leader told us where they wanted us to be with the slowest people in the front. So we didn't get out of step. And it was just a cooperative leadership program that he had to make everybody enjoy the view of the gorilla and the big silverback. But the little children were the fun things to watch because they were just like my own children at that age. They would throw the sticks, they would go and play with each other, they'd do somersaults, and the mothers would have the babies, and one of the babies was just holding on to her fur. I thought, boy, that was a great idea because she had both arms free. Why don't our babies just hold on to our clothes? Doesn't work that way, but
yeah, no, exactly. Well, Joyce, we're going to be going to break, but I love these stories because there's so many lessons that you could pick out of these stories that you're sharing, and I know you got more to come when we come back after the break. But this is just very, very enlightening, and I personally want to thank you for being such a great storyteller. Everybody, we got more to come here with Joyce Perrin. We got to go to break, but when we come back, she's going to be sharing more information on follow your passion, regardless of how long it takes. And again, if you just joined us somewhere in between, come back and listen to the show in its entirety. It's incredible, great insights with how she shares her stories to connect life lessons that can help you stay on the path to your passion. We'll be right back after the break.
What is balance? It's being true to your purpose and not being distracted by shiny objects, surrounding yourself with family and loved ones, nurturing your spirituality, maintaining healthy balance of emotional and physical wellness, and being present in the moment. Chris Salem creates awareness about unblocking mindset barriers for sales professionals, business leaders, entrepreneurs, and all types of people to have sustainable success at the next level. The solution evolves out of the problem or challenge. The issue is that many people and businesses manage the effect but do not address the root cause. You now have an opportunity to live your life and operate your business in the solution rather than the effect of your challenges. Schedule a time to chat about your goals and the person you desire to be by going to ChristopherSalem.com. We have group consulting calls, one-on-one, and other programs to assist you. It will be the best thing you do for yourself to see how sustainable success is possible for you in your life and business. Join us at the next level. Visit ChristopherSalem.com.
When it comes to business, you'll find the experts here. Voice America Business Network.
You are listening to Sustainable Success with Chris Salem. Send an email to Chris at ChristopherSalem.com. Now, back to Sustainable Success.
Welcome back to Sustainable Success. We're talking about follow your passion no matter how long it takes. Again, we're with Joyce Perrin. Our show is being brought to you today by Alumni Direct, a new social media community platform dedicated to bringing alumni together from all different generational types. It now features a from athlete to entrepreneur section. Yes, for those professional athletes that are transitioning into everyday life, whether if it's your own business, or maybe you bought a franchise, or maybe you're going to work for somebody. Nonetheless, you don't have to do it alone. You can now connect with other athletes that are in a similar situation, and you can kind of help each other and form groups to share ideas, content, and things that will keep you uplifted during this process. There's also a podcast that supports that called From Athletes to Entrepreneur. If you'd like some more information about Alumni Direct, check them out at alumnidirect.com. That's alumnidirect.com. So, Joyce, just powerful stories you've shared here in the last two segments. If you could, I know you have a story going to Antarctica. How many people can say they've been to Antarctica? Probably not a lot of people, probably most people. And yet, you've been there. I love to hear the story and the life lesson associated with it.
Thank you very much. Well, my favorite place is Antarctica. I went there twice. The first time, I fell in love with it. And so the second time, I went from New Zealand and came back to Australia. And this was a ship with 2 helicopters on board. That was amazing. And we were able to go around the southern part of Antarctica. We saw Scott's Hut, and Scott's Hut was there. We went in and looked at it as if it had been left yesterday. The cans were there. They were in great condition. Why? Because it was so cold. And in that part of Antarctica, there are winds and it's dry. And so they were well preserved. But there were many things about that trip. I went on that trip because of the 2 helicopters, because I wanted to see the mummified seals. Now, these mummified seals have been time dated for 2,000 years. How were they mummified and how did they get there? Some of them were 40 kilometers from the water. Well, what happened was there was a little rise. The water was on one side, and then there was a little rise, and the seals got confused because they know if they go down, they're going to the water. But they didn't realize this little rise confused them, and they were going in the wrong direction. And so, as I said, they went 40 kilometers into there. They were eating stones. They couldn't find any food. They died. But how were they preserved for that many years? Well, there were the adiabatic winds that came down 2 mountain ranges and sucked up all the moisture and maintained them like mummies, like I saw in Egypt. They were just like that. When I was there, it looked as if they were sleeping. Their skin was the same. Everything was great. And then now I feel so sad because global warming has changed the situation. The katabatic winds are no longer there. They're not sucking up that moisture. They're not keeping it the driest place in the world. And the mummy, the one mummy I took a picture of, I saw the other day on the internet, and they have started to rot. The global warming situation has changed. Now, let me tell you a story about that. To be able to do that, we had 2 helicopters, which takes 3 people, 2 in the back, 3 in the front, 1 in the front, and it takes 4 people, the pilot. So we had 100 people that had to manage 3 people at a time to get to the dry valleys. Now, what they did, the leadership was amazing. They told us what was happening. They said the slow people go first. Those are the people that go in the helicopter first. They will have as much time as they need. They need more time. I was one of the last ones because I was one of the faster ones. No problem. I was quite comfortable with that. There was no pushing and shoving and saying, I want to be on that helicopter. We all knew we had plenty of time. Why? Because we had good leadership. We had clear communication. We had cooperation from everybody to allow the system to move forward. And we had absolutely no problems whatsoever. And you contrast that with climbing Kilimanjaro, when we had the people who didn't follow their commitment. And what happened? my memory of the Antarctic is a positive one because everybody was happy. Everybody saw what they wanted. Now, also in Antarctica, with our 2 helicopters, we went to the top of the first ice floe that broke away from the shelf. And it was the size of the state of Maryland. And we had our helicopters land up on top, and we had champagne with billion-year-old ice. How about that? That was a real positive memory and one that very few people will ever have enjoyed. And I treasure that as one of my important things. But what wasn't more important to me was being able to sit with the penguins. We had thousands of penguins. On that trip, we saw all 7 kinds of penguins. And we sat there, and this one penguin, I sat for 20 minutes. This one penguin came up and nibbled on my toes. It was such a thrill. And there were thousands of penguins. The noise was unbelievable. You could hardly have a conversation just because of the noise. But it was a wonderful, wonderful experience.
Wow, I love it.
And so I have one more story to tell.
Yes.
Okay. This is a story of in Zimbabwe, where I decided to live with a Zimbabwe family. And I was to do the women's work. That was the job, and that was what I signed up for. But let me tell you, I didn't know what I was getting into, because where did we wash the clothes? In the river water. Was it warm? No, it was cold. My feet were so cold, they were blue when I got out. I had to stand there and scrub the clothes, take the jeans, slap them against the rock, rub them with some bar soap. There were no washing machines. And then trying to get up the path, I slipped. I grabbed something, I got thorns in my hand. Anyway, I got up, and where did we put the clothes to dry? No clothesline. Well, there was a little clothesline, just a little clothesline. So the boss's shirts got on that. Everything else was dried on the bushes. So that was one thing. Well, I had to help with pounding the grain. So you have a pole, and somebody else has a pole. You have to be a team. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And boy, if you aren't fast, it messes up the whole thing. I did it for a short time. And then the lady was having to slow down, that she so very politely suggested that maybe it would be a good idea if I gave it to her sister. So I was very happy to do that. But one of the things that I did notice there was they had a World Health Day, and everybody came. The mothers, the fathers, the children, everybody was there. It was an event, a very important event. And the children did a skit. They had a skit for the seniors, the high school, junior school, and for the younger school. And each one put on a little skit. Now, it was the senior school put on a skit. They talked about unprotected sex. They talked about marriage before marriage. They talked about disease. They talked about all those things in the open. Parents were in the audience. Teachers were in the audience. Young children were in the audience. And this was new to me. And you know what? Each of those schools had a competition, and they gave prizes. The prize was a broom and a mop for the winner. The next prize was a dustpan and it's a broom and a dustpan, a mop and a pail that went to the school. And there was nothing for the third person.
Yeah.
There was nothing for there. I went to the store to buy up all the pencils, all the things I could. I went to get a big pot for my hostess. There weren't any. So I had to be satisfied with what I had. And what it brought to me was what people can manage and what they can do with very, very little. It was a very important lesson to me when I realized that my person who I taught algebra to was going to be a lawyer. She had one book for the class. She had it one day to do all her questions, and I was there to help her. That was rewarding. But I thought, one class, one book for the whole 20 people in the classroom, it really brought to me how blessed we are, how many things we have, and how it's important to be grateful for what you have and give what you can do. And now I'd just like to close and say, I hope you will enjoy my book, Ants in My Pants, One Woman's Unexpected Journey Across the 7 Continents. I'd love to hear from my readers. I love doing podcasts. I love doing talks. So please call me. It's www.joyceperrin.com. And there you can send me a message. And I would just be so grateful for a note on Amazon or Goodreads. Thank you very much.
Wow, Joyce, such a powerful share with you. And again, we encourage everybody to get their hands on the book. In the Libsyn platform under Sustainable Success, you'll see in the show notes the link to purchase the book at Amazon. You'll see it there. We encourage everybody, get your hands on that book. Just incredible share from Joyce here today. And again, reach out to her. Get the book, reach out to her, connect with her on Facebook, LinkedIn, also her emails there as well. And Joyce, anything that you would like to share in the next 30 seconds to kind of just wrap up everything and leave everybody on a high note to build and sustain their passion?
Yes, follow your passion, regardless of how long it takes. Remember Lady Baden-Powell's comment, happiness comes not from what we have, but from what we give and share. This became my guiding light. May you think about it yourself, and may you have a wonderful life. Be sure that you are grateful for what you have and pass on what you can to others. The rewards are in your heart and in your life. You will never forget those people that you have helped along the way. I pass that on and live life well.
Thank you. Joyce, thank you so much for sharing and taking time to be with us here today. We are extremely grateful for your wisdom, your experience. And again, thank you from everyone here at the Voice America Business and Sustainable Success team.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And listeners, again, we encourage you to listen to this show in its entirety here today or anytime after. This is a powerful story shared by Joyce. We could all learn something from that. And you still got the rest of your life ahead of you to do that for yourself. So again, you need some more encouragement, some more insight, reach out to Joyce. And again, we are committed each and every week in bringing subject matter experts like Joyce in to share their words of insights and wisdom to help you, wherever you are, personally and professionally, to move your business and life to the next level. Till then, everybody, have a great rest of your week, and we will see you next week. Take care.
Thank you for tuning into Sustainable Success. Be sure to join Chris Salem and his guests every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Time and 3 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Business Channel. Have an incredible week.